Hey everybody, it's Matt with the DPI podcast. Got a lot going on with rumors of Disney opening and some things that are really kind of going around the internet right now as far as theories and that kind of stuff. So just wanted to really take some time today and go over a few of them real quick. So stick with us. This is DPI Live on Facebook Live tonight. So there's a lot going on around Disney. I expected some news to be released over the weekend, and there really wasn't anything new that went on. So it's really a couple of things as far as tourism and everything like that in Florida that's kind of giving us the news. So Orange County in Florida Tourism District continued the task force that they had prior to kind of the loosening of some of the restrictions in the state of Florida. Basically, what the tourism group is tasked with is coming up with a plan to advertise the state to get people back down there on vacations, and B, figure out a timeline with everything that's going on how people would be safe. So they've met starting last week, and they continue to meet this week. And really, the big thing with this task force right now is, how do we advertise that Florida's open and Florida's safe and everything like that? There was one Disney comment that kind of came out of it, and it was from the vice president of Walt Disney World. And it was to the effect of, yes, we're taking reservations for June and we're allowing bookings in June, but that doesn't mean that we're going to open. So everybody went bonkers over this, saying, oh, now Disney's not going to be open. Disney's not going to be open in June now. What are we going to do? All this kind of stuff. I really think that the opening is going to be very much based off of how Florida does by itself in these areas. So what I mean by saying that is that they are going to open up the parks to locals first. And we're probably going to see it next week at City Walk at Universal, and then probably shortly after at Disney Springs, as they begin to open everything up and they see how their locals are doing with distancing and what other precautions that they're going to have to put in place to really control the crowds that this is going to bring with opening these bigger areas. Couple items from the chat real quick. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining. Hi, Marcia. I remember Shannon talking about you with Owens and Minor, so thanks for joining us tonight. But so yeah, I think with Florida, you're really going to see a local tourist opening first. Then from there, they're going to open it up to national travelers. So I could see this first phase taking 4 to 6 weeks for them to start getting these plans in place and really developing what they need for large scale. When you have your locals at a park, think of like a Disneyland. It's still relatively well attended, but it's nothing like Disney World. I mean, you're talking the difference between 25 to 30,000 at Disneyland to 55,000 on average at Disney World. So they're going to have to do some different things to really figure out how they keep the people away from each other. And that's going to be a huge test at the beginning. The other thing is, what are they going to be able to get away with saying and doing that isn't going to really get people up in arms? And by that, this is why I kind of put the Disney close till Christmas thought out today, is that I really think that they're going to strongly recommend that visitors that are over 65 years of age not come to the parks until there is a widely available vaccine. With that being said, we're hearing anything from 12 to 18 months on the vaccine. So it could be a while before they are comfortable with older guests coming to the park. On top of that, I think that they're going to recommend masks. And this is going to be a strong recommendation because I don't think they're going to get away with temperature check at the front gate. And I don't know that they're going to have a 5-minute antibody check that they're going to be able to do at the front gate. So they are going to strongly recommend masks. So they put masks on sale on the Disney Store last week. A lot of people got mad about it because, here's Disney profiting off of these masks. No, Disney, at least the initial batch, Disney is not going to profit off of. They are donating 1 million of the masks to MedShare to be distributed in underserved populations. And then they're going to donate the first $1 million in profit to MedShare as well, to help buy more equipment and to help those underserved areas. So Disney is doing a good thing, but I think this just puts the ball in motion on when you go to Disney for the next 12 to 18 months, be prepared to wear a mask. I don't think you're going to have to wear an N95 by any means, but at least a cloth face covering, something that's going to control some of the particles going out. And I think that's really, in the scheme of things, when you see these states opening up, it's that little extra layer of protection that they think is going to help them get from point A to point B on the safety scale. I think as people start getting together, you're going to start seeing that herd immunity developing. And I think, honestly, we're going to be surprised on the backside of this of how many people are going to test positive for the antibody that never knew that they were exposed to the virus itself. So, a couple of things there. June reservations are being accepted at Disney World right now. Peter has a trip in Disneyland and hasn't been able to do a whole lot with that trip. I really think that one's a huge question mark for him right now. But Disney World has been taking reservations. Now, if you remember the trips that were canceled in March and April, Disney ran this promotion for the free dining if your trip was impacted. And that started on June the 1st. It ran June the 1st through September, and then they extended it a little bit longer. On top of that, guests that had trips that were cut short during that time, their extra park days are good through December 15th. So I think you're going to see a lot of returning guests and local guests that are in the parks for the next 6-8 months. I think it's really going to be, I think you're going to see them cancel almost every Not So Scary. If they don't cancel all of them, I'll be surprised. But the ones I think that they would leave open are maybe the last couple of weeks of October, depending on if there's a reemergence of the virus over the summer. What that allows them to do is kind of focus everything on Christmas, which in Disney terms starts the first week in November. And I think that's what they're kind of targeting as the grand reopening of the parks. It's going to be tough to not see the parks at full capacity around Christmas. It's going to be busy the rest of the year, but I think Christmas this year is going to be just all kinds of crazy. And the reason I say that is because you have all these guests that had trips now canceled for what's going to be about 2.5 months that are trying to rebook sometime this year. You know, some of them are having to be pressed back till next year, but I think a lot of people, and you know, the trend that we've seen on the travel side is people really trying to push their trip later in the year. So if they have kids in school, late summer, over that fall break, some of them are looking at that Labor Day, that long Labor Day weekend, and maybe taking an extra day there. Thanksgiving weekend. And then most of the schools around here have 2-week Christmas vacations. And a lot of people are looking at that time. So you're going to see a lot of people. But I also think with 2021 right around the corner now, and the 50th anniversary of Magic Kingdom, you've got kind of a split on people that are all gung-ho about going to Magic Kingdom and you wanted to see everything that's coming in 2021. You got Tron, you've got the Epcot reimagination, you have Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a lot that's going to be going on in 2021. There's a lot of people that are saying, I don't want anything to do with this, and are trying to find somewhere else. Whether they're going on cruises, going out to Disneyland, you know, visiting a couple of the other DVC properties, because they've got Vero Beach, they've got the South Carolina property. So they've got some different properties that people are trying to stay away from Disney World per se, just because I think 2021, as far as crowds, is probably going to be the busiest year Disney World ever sees. And that's unless they make it to 100 years. And then we'll see where we are in 50 years, I guess. But what that means is that a lot of people are rebooking this year, and now we've got a condensed year for that rebooking to happen and that family vacation to happen. So there are a lot of people that are really saying, okay, I really want to try and get it in this year. It's going to be busy no matter when I go. Let's put it at Christmas. And I'm seeing more and more people take that tact when it comes to the rebooking, because you're going to see Christmas crowds more throughout the year now, just because you're going to have so many people trying to go in such a short amount of time. So they're saying, well, why don't I just go at Christmas now? Other than the prices are a little bit higher, Christmas at the parks is the most beautiful time to visit. Now that Animal Kingdom's kind of playing along with this, all of the parks are uniquely decorated. They all have their own festivals and goings on, and they all have their own Christmas vibe during the holidays, and it's a really, really great place to spend a few days. I mean, it really kicks off your holiday spirit. You know, Shannon and I have gone a couple times over the last few years, that first weekend that everything's decorated for Christmas, and it's just like our kickoff to the holidays. It's great. You go out, there's Christmas music playing, the characters are in their Christmas outfits. It's a lot of fun. So it's interesting to see how many people are just saying, okay, why don't we just go at Christmas? Maybe we've just kind of avoided that time for one reason or another. Now they're starting to come around to this is going to be the year for Christmas. So If you do want to do Christmas, I would recommend talking to your travel agent or getting yourself booked right now, because as those occupancy rates in the hotels tick up, so are the prices, because they're going to start seeing, hey, we're going to get big crowds. This is where we can start getting some of those nickels and dimes back. So you gotta watch those prices. The farther out you book, the better deal you get. And then if they start releasing specials, like last year they released that 4-day Christmas special package, you can rebook for that package and not lose your reservation. So get your $200 to your travel agent, get booked right now, and be ready for Christmas. But going back to the initial reason I wanted to do this podcast, I really don't think we're going to see an international guest in the park before 2021. I don't think that there's enough controls in place that are going to make enough people feel safe. You're already going to have enough people that want to rebel against what Disney's going to ask them to do. You're going to have the people that don't want to wear their masks. You're going to have the people that, if they do temperature checks or antibody testing at the front gate, that aren't going to do that. I would love to see Disney do that as a voluntary thing. Hey, if you want to take these tests before you go into the park, great. We'll have them ready for you at the resort hotel, or we'll have them ready for you at the security gate. But you don't have to do it. But if you don't do it, we want you to wear a mask. And I think if they did something like that, they wouldn't piss off too many people, to where you're not going to get this huge backlash. So, interesting to see what happens next week. It sounds like City Walk's going to start opening. They opened up one of the big parking garages at Disney Springs for cast members. So they're starting to bring back cast. They're starting to bring in large deliveries. So I would imagine that we're going to hear something from Disney concerning Disney Springs retailers soon. End of this week, early next week. And they're going to kind of let Universal take the lead, see what works, see what doesn't, see what they can improve on. I think it's going to be the same way for the parks. So you're going to see this next week. I really think you're going to see a letter for a cast member callback the following week. So that middle week of May, you get this cast member callback. It's going to take them about a week to get people to know who's going to be coming back, to get them scheduled, and to really start planning their cruise for the soft opening of the parks. I think you're going to see Hollywood Studios open first. It's already got a virtual queue. It's the smaller of the parks. It doesn't have a lot of rides. I think it's going to be the easiest to put these precautions in place to start. You also don't have to worry about the monorail or the ferry boat as far as transportation. And I think that's why Magic Kingdom's not going to be the first one to open up. You got buses, you've got the Skyliner, which the Skyliner you can put one family in, run them intermittently, and sanitize them as they come through. Not a big deal. You've got buses, you've got the Skyliner, you've got walkers. So people can walk from Boardwalk, from Swan Dolphin, from all those resorts over there, Beach Yacht Club, all that, to that park. And I think it's going to be open to locals. You're going to see locals, you're going to see annual pass holders to a certain extent. Maybe regionally. I don't know exactly how they would do a regional. I think if they don't do just like Florida and then everybody else, it's going to be tough. But I think you're going to see it locals, annual pass holders in some capacity. You might have to have a hotel reservation on Disney property. Then from there, you're going to see Magic Kingdom open up and Animal Kingdom open up. that's when they start bringing in the national crowd. So I would imagine that's going to happen maybe as late as middle of June. And that gives them a couple of weeks to really figure out what those two parks look like with crowds. And I don't think you're going to see much more than like 30-35% of capacity. So you're talking, 20-ish thousand, 15 to 20-ish thousand at Kingdom, and far less than that at Studios and Animal Kingdom. From there, then you start looking at Epcot. I think Epcot's going to be the last park to open because I think they need to make some modifications to the front of the park prior to letting people back in. So if you were down there basically from Christmas time through when they shut down in March, they have really bottlenecked the two areas around Spaceship Earth because of all that construction that's happening around the fountain. That really limits the amount of people that they can get through there safely right now if we're doing social distancing. So, with that being said, I think Epcot becomes the last park to open up, and I would imagine that opens up maybe not even in July. They may hold off as long as humanly possible on Epcot, just so that they can have as much of the construction done as they can up front to open up those pathways, relieve some of that congestion. National guests, I'm putting kind of a target date, the beginning of July. The beginning of July, they start letting people from around the nation in there. And then as they kick up capacity, then they start thinking about North American guests and then expanding it out to world travel. I think the other thing that's going to really drive that is how does Florida open up and handle that crowd, and how do their airports handle those crowds? And then from there, how do the other countries kind of lift their travel restrictions as well? I think you're going to see a lot of countries ban travel from countries that may still be hotspots, like the United Kingdom right now is growing in cases. Do places ban travel from that area until they start showing that decline in case? So, brings me to the pro tip of the day. And if you made it this far, thank you very much. Man, I got a dumb face on there. That's pretty awesome. When did my camera stop working? The camera's working over there. Activate, go. There, hey, I'm back. Okay, now I don't have the dumb face anymore. So pro tip is opening of the parks will be slower than you think. I really just want everybody to understand that Disney is going to follow other parks' lead on this one. They have throughout the whole process so far. They're going to continue to wait. They want to see other people fail and improve on what other people fail in. And then from there, you're going to see the rest of the parks kind of follow Disney's lead, because now Disney's the innovator at that point, and they look the best. This is going to be a judged by social media type opening. and they don't want to be on the back side of that. They don't want to be on the bad side of that. So definitely understand that it's going to be slow getting the parks back up to full steam. If we ever see the parks at full steam again, will we ever see 55,000 people at Magic Kingdom again? I don't know. I don't know until we have a vaccine available that they can ethically jam people in there like they would for a not so scary party or for a very merry party, and really, bump that around 75, 80,000 people in that park. I just don't think it makes sense. So, if you stuck around with us, thank you very much. This was a long one today. We're coming up on a half hour on the old Facebook Live, so thank you very much. Definitely like the stream. If you aren't following the page, or if you don't like the page, definitely like the page as well. We're really getting consistent on the content, and you're going to see us a couple of different times each week. We're going to try to do Tuesday nights here on Facebook, whether it's just myself or myself and Peter. And then the same thing over on YouTube on Thursday nights. We're going to try and do a consistent Thursday night stream over there. And, as we evolve this, it may be news on one side and maybe some fun and some opinion on the other side, outside of the pressing news for Disney. But we're really working on how does this work, especially in this type of environment. So thank you very much for watching today, and you guys all have a good night.